This week, I'll lead you through a gentle, beginner-friendly yoga practice using only 7 yoga poses along the way. You don't need any prior knowledge or experience with yoga to join in and follow along. Let's get started. This is a prop-free yoga practice. You don't need any extra props, just a mat or any kind of a practice space where you have a little bit of room to move. And then we are going to start today in a seated pose. Now your seat could be any easy seat. I'm going to sit cross-legged today, but you could also sit on your knees. So if you want, you might bring your knees, your shins under yourself if that's more comfortable, or you might find a different kind of seat. Any pose where you feel you could spend a couple of minutes in the beginning. And then we're going to start with some breathing. So first, take a couple of slightly slower, so consciously slower breaths in, inhaling through the nose and exhaling through pursed lips. Again, inhaling through the nose and exhaling through pursed lips. Do a couple more rounds in your own pace. When we breathe out through pursed lips, this will help us control, regulate the airflow so we can lengthen the out breath slightly. Take one more breath in through the nose and out through pursed lips. Then continue following your own breaths. Now we're going to inhale, lengthen arms up overhead. And then as you exhale, again, slowly bring arms sideways down while slowing down the out breath as well. So still exhaling through pursed lips. 2 more times. Inhaling, arms up, breathing in through the nose. Exhale through pursed lips as you slowly bring the arms down. So we are controlling our breath. 1 more time. Inhaling, arms lengthening up. And exhale, slowly bring the arms down, following the length of your out breath. And then just relax your arms. You could move your shoulders. As we continue the practice, you can continue exhaling through pursed lips if that feels good. But you might also change to exhaling through the nose, whichever feels more comfortable to you. Next, bring yourself onto all fours, onto hands and knees. And bring your hands roughly under the shoulders. Knees roughly under the hips, toes can be tucked under, or you can release the toes. And then we're going to do some cat-cow movements here. So with your next breath, round your spine like a cat rounding its back. You can bring chin towards the chest, you can tuck the tailbone under. And then with the next breath, open your chest. Finding a gentle back bend, you might look forward. So finding a bit of an arch through the back. Same again with your breath, rounding the spine. And that could be an in-breath or out-breath. And then with the next breath, opening the chest. And again, see if you want to look forward or maybe looking more down. 2 more rounds. Breathing as you round the back. You can imagine you're trying to draw your navel in towards the spine. And then next breath, open the chest. You can let your hips move a bit, like lifting your tail up. 1 more round with your next breath. Round the back. You can push down through the hands and arms, push down through the knees slightly. And then again, open the chest, finding that subtle back bend. And then we're going to round the back. But now we're going to lean the pelvis down towards the feet. We call this the child's pose. Your pelvis doesn't need to touch the heels, but just leaning the pelvis towards the feet and then leaning upper body and hip down towards the mat. Now check in with your knees, your feet, your hips. You might bring your legs close together. You might also turn your knees more out to the side so there's more space between the knees. Maybe feet still close together. Or some people like to have the knees and the feet wider apart. If the head doesn't easily land on the mat, try bringing hands under the head so that you have something to lean your head onto. And then breathe here in and out. And you send your breaths towards the back. A bit like having a turtle shell on your back and sending each breath in towards that shell. Each breath out can soften tension. Maybe there's some stretching around the hips, the legs, the back. Or maybe there's no sensation of a stretch. Both options are absolutely fine. Take one more breath in and out. Always let yourself focus on your experience and your sensations in the poses. There's no right or wrong. Then with your next breath, slowly bring yourself back onto hands and knees. And then from hands and knees, slide yourself down onto your belly. Take a couple of breaths here, trying to ground the front of the legs, the pelvis onto the mat. So you feel the lower body now sinks down quite heavy onto the mat. We're going to go into the Cobra or the Sphinx pose. So first, as you breathe in, gently press hands onto the mat so you can lift your chest off the mat. And then slide your forearms, your elbows onto the mat. Elbows could be roughly under the shoulders, or maybe they're a little bit wider apart. You might turn your palms onto the mat if that feels good, or palms could be facing each other. Once you've found a good edge in your pose, where there's no pain in the back, just gently imagine you're trying to open your chest towards the front of the mat. You might even look forward so that the pose becomes just slightly more active. We are engaging through the upper back, opening across the front of the chest, still keeping neck soft, so making sure we're not tensing the neck. And then focus on your breathing. Let's try to take 3 a bit slower breaths here, in and out. Notice where you can feel those breaths. What does it feel like to breathe in this pose? What does it feel like breathing out in this back bend? And then after your 3 breaths, slowly release your chest back down. You could bring hands under the head for a couple of breaths, just softening the back side. You could take a full belly breath
So belly breath is when we let the belly bulge out, breathing in. And then let the belly kind of sink back in as we breathe out. Then we're going to bring both hands under shoulders, and we're going to lift back onto all fours, onto hands and knees. And we're going to bring ourselves into a seat. And now in the seat, first extend your legs in front of you. It might be that there's a lot of tightness on the back side. That's very fine. You don't need to fully straighten the legs. And we are going to bend one knee. Let's start by bending the right knee. So stepping the right foot somewhere on the mat, on the inside of that left leg. And then with the left arm, we'll hug the right leg towards the chest. It might be that you hold it with your left hand. Some people might bring the elbow to hug the knee. And then we're going to bring right hand behind us. It might be that you get your whole hand onto the mat. I can't do that, so I need to stay on my fingertips, depending on the length of your arm. But just so you can support yourself through that right arm, it will support your back. Imagine somebody's pulling the crown at the top of the head up towards the ceiling. Take a breath in. As you breathe out, start to twist towards that right knee, towards that front leg, and trying to turn through the rib cage, through the back, and then head might follow that twist. So you might look over the right shoulder if you want. That's very optional. You can also leave the neck more neutral. Trying to focus the twist coming from lower down, so not leading with the nose, but trying to twist through the mid-back, upper back. And still breathing in every pose. Let yourself find your breath. Take one more breath here, trying to soften the very tops of the shoulders. And then as you breathe out, slowly come back to center. Leave your left leg still extended. And now open the right leg into what we would call half butterfly shape. So the right knee is still bent. The knee kind of turns out to the side. And then the right foot somewhere on the inside of that left leg. It could be somewhere close to the knee, maybe a bit higher up inner thigh, or lower down next to the shin. Now our aim is to tilt the pelvis forward. So just take a couple of steps from one buttock to the other. So you're kind of rocking the pelvis, trying to feel the hips. And then see if you could step hands slightly further forward along the mat. So we start to tilt forward. And we're trying to tilt through the pelvis. Imagine you're turning your tail towards the back of the mat. Take a breath in. Reach your back forward. Reach the head forward. Breathing out, round the back. See if you could go just a bit further forward. You might support the pose by holding your left ankle or left foot. Or you might keep hands on the mat. Take another breath in, trying to reach the back and the head forward towards that left foot. And then exhale again, rounding the back. We're not trying to get the head to the foot, but that's just the direction. One more breath in, reaching forward. Imagine you're showing your tail towards the back of the mat. Exhale, leaning down and forward. Now we're going to pause here for another couple of breaths. You might lift the left foot toes up towards the ceiling. That might change how the pose feels like. If there's any pain in your back or any pain in the hips, you can always come out. Don't push through pain. And after your couple of breaths, slowly, slowly bring your back, your head up. And then you can release both legs. Maybe lean onto the hands and just shake the legs a little bit. And then we'll do same to the other side. I tend to say that seated forward bends are the most challenging poses. So if it feels challenging to lean forward, that's very fine. Now we're going to bend the left knee. So step left foot on the inside of the right leg. And then with the right arm, hold the left leg. So you might hold the left leg with your right hand, or again, you might hug an elbow around the left knee or shin, and then left hand behind you. Again, imagine you're lifting your head, lifting your back up, making yourself just a bit taller. As you breathe out, slowly, see if you could twist just a bit further to the left. And then focus on your breathing. In yoga, there's a big, big focus in the breath. You know, I like to say at least half of the pose is the breath. Half of the practice is the breath. So use your breath, trying to create some space, trying to release some tension. Take one more breath here. And then slowly start to release that twist. You can keep the right leg still extended. And then bend or open that bent left leg so that it's a bit like a figure four shape. We'll call this a half butterfly. The left leg in an angle where you feel you can maybe walk from one buttock to the other a few times. So if you feel really pushed back by that left leg, just move the left foot a bit further forward. And then see if you could walk your fingertips, hands just a bit further forward. So we start to tilt forward again, trying to tilt the pelvis, showing your tail behind you. Take a breath in. You can reach yourself forward. And then as you breathe out, rounding the back, starting to open the back side of the spine. We'll repeat this kind of breathing a couple of times. As you inhale, imagine you're trying to lengthen the back forward. This is more where we're tilting through the pelvis. And then with the out breath, rounding the spine. Maybe going just a bit deeper, a bit further. One more bigger breath. Inhaling, tilting the pelvis forward, reaching the back, the head forward. Exhaling, releasing down. Remember, you might hold your ankle, you might hold your foot. And then again, pause here for another couple of breaths. Let the out breaths release tension. Softening through the neck, through the shoulders. And then with an in-breath, start to lift yourself back up. You can step hands behind you, release the legs. And then we're going to find Savasana pose, which is the yoga relaxation pose. So bring yourself to lie down on your back. And you could try extending the legs, see how that feels in the hips, in your back. Legs could be wider apart or closer together. If that hurts in the back or in the hips, you're very welcome to leave the knees bent. Maybe lean the knees, the thighs against each other. So any kind of easy pose You can either bring hands onto your belly or just rest your hands and arms next to your sides on the mat, on the floor. And then give yourself a few of those slower breaths. Again, you might inhale through the nose and exhale through pursed lips, allowing yourself to slow down the exhalation. You might continue with that slower breathing, just another minute or so. Or you can relax your breath. Stop controlling your breath if that doesn't feel too relaxing, so that you could have a moment to just rest. Check in with yourself, how you're feeling now, as we are almost at the end of our practice today. Take another few breaths in and out wherever you are in your resting pose. And then slowly start to bring some gentle movement to your fingers, your toes. You can move your hands, move your feet. You could reach your hands and arms overhead along the floor and gently stretch the whole body along from hands down to the feet. And then from lying down on the back, roll down onto your side. It could be the left or the right side. So you're curling in onto your side. You can bring one arm under the head as a pillow. Take a breath here, in and out. And then slowly bring yourself back up into a seat where we started from. You might find the same seat or maybe a slightly different pose. Give yourself a couple of breaths here, in and out. I like to bring my hands, my palms together at the end of the practice. You can do the same if you want to. And most importantly, at the end of the practice, thank yourself. Thank yourself for bringing yourself to try this practice, to follow along. And I hope you feel better after the practice, after doing some movements and some breathing. Namaste. Thank you for joining in.